Good evening again, everyone. I would just like to share something with you that I felt compelled to write. It grieves my spirit to see what our country has come to. Nobody seems to want to face the truth. Prejudice and racism are and always have been alive and well in America. However, it's a sad, sad day when innocent people, such as the officers in Dallas, are killed due to what the guilty officers who have arbitrarily killed innocent people have done and gotten away with. If those who swore to protect and serve and then break that oath by taking the lives of law abiding citizens who pay their salaries to do what they swore to do are not held accountable, and in fact are rewarded with paid vacations, referred to as administrative leave with pay, the atrocity that happened in Dallas is only one of many events that may occur, even though it's wrong. It's wrong for police officers to kill innocent people because of the color of their skin. Wrong for me to feel afraid to leave my house to go to work. Wrong for me to be afraid for my children, my grandchildren, or any of my loved ones to go anywhere without fear of being stopped by police for some traffic incident that may or may not have occurred, for fear of being killed by this civil servant who swore to protect me. It's time to make the guilty pay. Criminals go to prison. Many of these cops are criminals. If you're too afraid to work in law enforcement, so afraid that you can't make sound judgment, find some other line of work. I understand that at the end of the day, you want to go home safe to your families. So do I. So do those poor souls who may have been on their way to or from work when you killed them. Or perhaps they had the day off. Their loved ones are waiting at home for them too. Do you really believe that because my skin is darker than yours, I don't love my family as much as, if not more than, you love yours? Do you really believe you're more afraid of me than I am of you? Do you really believe I pose more of a threat to you than you do to me? Then maybe it's time for a career change. I honestly believe that if you cops had to face the same justice as civilians who commit crimes, you would use a little more discretion when approaching the public. If you knew you had to answer to the same laws you've sworn to uphold and make us adhere to in the same way we have to answer to them, the senseless killings would cease. I just read this article and I am absolutely appalled. It helps me to understand, though, why so many officers commit the crimes they do. This article was written by the Washington Post after a study conducted by that same newspaper. This new study said for every 1,000 people killed by police, for every 1,000 people killed by police, for every 1,000 people killed by police, one officer is convicted of a crime. It doesn't even say what the crime is. It doesn't say what the extent is, how deep the crime may be, whether or not it's a felony 5, a felony 1, or whatever. Just one officer is convicted of a crime. The article goes on to say that in what may be one of the most thorough and informative studies done on police officers who've been killed in the United States since 2005, the Washington Post and Bowling Green State University have done an amazing job giving color and context to an American epidemic that has been swept under the rug far too often. In this study, it was determined that out of thousands and thousands of people killed by police since 2005, only 11 officers have been convicted of any crime whatsoever. Consider these findings from that study. Most of the time, prosecutors don't press charges against police, even if there are strong suspicions that an officer has committed a crime. Prosecutors interviewed for this report say it takes compelling proof that at the time of the shooting, the victim posed no threat either to the officer or to bystanders. Last year, at least 1,100 people were killed by police in the United States. That is the highest number on record in at least the past 2 decades. But the truth is that these numbers have been so poorly recorded that it is hard to tell if the problem is genuinely getting worse or if the number of people being killed by police is finally being reported properly. Whatever the case, the Washington Post study makes it abundantly clear that the deck is firmly stacked against victims of police violence and their families. To charge an officer in a fatal shooting, it takes something so egregious, so over the top, it cannot be explained in any rational way. That was quoted by Philip M. Stinson, a criminologist at Bowling Green who studies arrests of police. It also has to be a case that prosecutors are willing to hang their reputation on. But even in these most extreme instances, the majority of the officers whose cases have been resolved have not been convicted. The Post analysis found that. And when they are convicted or plead guilty, they've tended to get little time behind bars, on average 4 years, and sometimes only weeks. Jurors are very reluctant to punish police officers, tending to view them as guardians of order, according to prosecutors and defense lawyers. Almost certainly, this stark reality is not lost on police officers. Fully aware that they have a 1 in 1,000 chance of being convicted when they use lethal force, the risk is so minuscule that officers have no real motivation for avoiding it when they have even the smallest hunch or feeling that danger is any sort of possibility. In any industry, if people feel that they are above prosecution or consequence, it's going to have a detrimental effect on society. When law enforcement officers feel above the law, people die, and often unjustly. This is a sad state for America and its citizens to find itself in. So again, I say, if you are too afraid, if you have too much prejudice, too much hatred, you feel it's too much pressure, find another line of work. We really need officers who will stand up for and hold up to the oaths they have made to protect and to serve. Thank you.